Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 4, Transcendental Knowledge, text number 8. Let's offer our obeisances to Srila Prabhupada. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Srinivadi Paskatyade Satarane Puritranaya Sarunam Vinashayata Diskritam Dharma Samstapanartaya Sambhavam Yuge Yuge. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. To deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to reestablish the principles of religion, I myself appear a millennium after millennium. Purport. According to the Bhagavad Gita, a sadhu, a holy man, is a man in Krishna consciousness. A person may appear to be irreligious, but if he has the qualifications of Krishna consciousness wholly and fully, he is to be understood to be a sadhu. And diskritam applies to those who do not care for Krishna consciousness. Such miscreants or diskritam are described as foolish and the lowest among mankind. Even though they may be decorated with mundane education, whereas a person who is 100% engaged in Krishna consciousness is accepted as a sadhu, even though such a person may be neither learned nor well cultured. As far as the atheistic are concerned, it is not necessary for the Supreme Lord to appear as he is to destroy them, as he did with the demons Ravana and Kamsa. The Lord has many agents who are quite competent to vanquish demons, but the Lord especially descends to appease his unalloyed devotees, who are always harassed by the demoniac. The demon harasses the devotee, even though the latter may happen to be his kin. Although Prahlad Maharaj was the son of Hiranyakashipu, he was nonetheless persecuted by his father. Although Devaki, the mother of Krishna, was a sister of Kamsa, she and her husband Vasudeva were persecuted only because Krishna was reborn of them. So Lord Krishna appeared primarily to deliver Devaki rather than kill Kamsa, but both were performed simultaneously. Therefore, it is said here that to deliver the devotee and vanquish the demon miscreants, the Lord appears in different incarnations. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita of Krishnadas Kaviraj, the following verses summarize these principles of incarnation. Shristi hetu ye murti prapanche avatare se ishvara murti avatara namadare mayatita paravyome sabara avastana vishve avatari dare avatara nama. The avatar incarnation of Godhead descends from the kingdom of God for material manifestation. And the particular form of the personality of Godhead who so descends is called an incarnation or avatar. Such incarnations are situated in the spiritual world, the kingdom of God. When they descend to the material creation, they assume the name avatar. There are various kinds of avatars, such as Purusha avatars, Guna avatars, Leela avatars, Sattvavesh avatars, Manvatara avatars, and Yuga avatars, all appearing on schedule all over the universe. The Lord Krishna is the primeval Lord, the fountainhead of all avatars. Lord Sri Krishna descends for the specific purpose of mitigating the anxieties of the pure devotees, who are very anxious to see him in his original Vrindavan pastimes. Therefore, the prime purpose of Krishna's avatar, of the Krishna avatar, is to satisfy his unalloyed devotees. The Lord says that he incarnates himself in every millennium. This indicates that he incarnates also in the age of Kali. As stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the incarnation in the age of Kali is Lord Chaitanya, Mahaprabhu, who spread the worship of Krishna by the Sankirtan movement, congregational chanting of the holy names. and spread Krishna consciousness throughout India. He predicted that this culture of Sankirtan would be broadcast all over the world, from town to town and village to village. Lord Chaitanya, as the incarnation of Krishna, the personality of Godhead, described secretly but not directly in the confidential parts of the revealed scriptures, such as the Upanishads, Mahabharata, and Bhagavatam. The devotees of Lord Krishna are very much attracted by the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya. This avatar of the Lord does not kill the miscreants, but delivers them by his causeless mercy. So the text again. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya tridiskritam dharma samstapanarthaya sambhavam yuge yuge. To deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to reestablish the principles of religion, I myself appear millennium after millennium. Let me try my magic microphone and see if how this works. Is this better? Does this sound better? Can anyone hear me?
Sounds the same.
Natasha, does it sound better? Yeah, sometimes it's weird, it's strange. Sometimes it sounds better, sometimes it sounds the same. But at least some devotees can hear it better. Om Agyanatmanandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksura Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Brahmadi Mortishu Kalamanatishtan Nanavataram Akarod Bhuvaneshu Kintu Krishna Swayam Sambhavat Parmak Parmanyo Govindam Adi Purusham Tamahang Bhajami. So Krishna comes in different incarnations, but the most important for us generally are the incarnations in a human-like form. Most of us would find it hard to understand what our relationship with Matsya is, the fish incarnation, or a Kurma, the tortoise incarnation, or Varaha, the boar incarnation. It's generally easier for those in the human form of life to relate to Krishna in his forms of, such as Lord Ramachandra and Lord Krishna. Even Nrsimhadev is a little difficult, half lion, half man. But generally speaking, whatever incarnation Krishna takes, as explains here, is to deliver the pious, first of all. That Krishna has an eternal relationship with his devotees. He also has an eternal relationship with the non-devotees. And therefore, Krishna comes to annihilate the miscreants. Krishna in Bhagavad Gita had said that there's two types of people, the divine and the demoniac. And in the beginning of the 17th chapter, of the 16th chapter, Krishna explains some of the divine qualities, such as abhayam, sattvasam, shuddhir, jnana, yoga, vivyasati, fearlessness, cultivation of spiritual knowledge, and purity. Now, later on, Krishna will say that there are two types of people, the divine and the demoniac. He's already explained to us about the divine. Now he'll explain about the demoniac. And he says the demoniac has certain qualities. Pravitim cha naritim cha jana navida asara nasocham napichacharo nasatyam teshu vidyate. The demoniac do not know what's to be done and what's not to be done. Neither cleanliness, nor truthfulness, nor proper behavior are found in them. And what's the problem with the demoniac? Krishna summarizes very succinctly. He says, asatyam apratishtam te jagarohoranishwaram aparashparam sambhutyam kemanyat kama haitukam. That the demoniac, they say that this world is unreal. It has no foundation. It has no God in control. It is produced of sex desire and has no other cause than lust. In other words, unless we accept Krishna or an incarnation of Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then all our knowledge has just been stolen by illusion. And indeed, the reason why we reject Krishna, as it says, Vayam dvitiya veshitasya ashadavatasya viparyos smriti. Because we came here to imitate Krishna. We thought Krishna is enjoying with the gopis. He has so many nice friends in the cowherd boys. Everyone's thinking about Krishna all the time. Everyone's talking about Krishna. Why can't they talk about me and worship me? And therefore we've come here to experience what it would be like to be the center of attention instead of Krishna. Either Krishna is the center of attention or the little tiny soul places himself in the center of attention. The only problem is it's not a very fair contest. After all, Krishna is unlimited and we're only 1/10,000th the size of Tippahir in size. Therefore, the only way Krishna can satisfy our desire to be the center of attention is to put us into illusion. And basically speaking, that's what we're enjoying. We're enjoying our illusions. But in that illusion, we happen to think that this world is unreal. Some people think like that there's no foundation, there's not any God in control, we're just being impelled by sex desire, and there's no other cause than lust from what's ever going on. Not a very happy vision of existence. To think that there's no justice, there's no reasoning, there's no love, it's only exploitation and confusion and bewilderment. And that's what we have to enjoy here. As Krishna says, Mamupetya punarjanma dukhalayam ashasvatam napnuvanti mahatmana samsiddhim paramam gata. After attaining me, those who are yogis in devotion never come back to this temporary, miserable world because they attain the highest perfection. So everyone is actually searching to be either Romeo or Juliet, to either be Tarzan or Jane, to be Mickey Mouse or Minnie Mouse. Everyone is hankering for this. The only problem is it's all very temporary. And therefore, no matter how much we try to build our kingdom and have two-handed Narayan and two-handed goddess of fortune with their expansions, plenary and partial, the intelligent children are the plenary expansions, and the less intelligent ones are the partial expansions. No matter how much we try to build our kingdom, it's all vanquished, no matter how expert we are. Now, the pastime of Lord Ramachandra is a case in point. Before Lord Ramachandra appeared in Treta Yuga, and before Ravana appeared in Treta Yuga, as we know, Ravana had appeared previously as Hiranyakashipu, along with his brother Hiranyaksha, who descended from the spiritual world, who were previously Jai and Vijay. Now Hiranyakashipu, he was quite determined to make his life, material life, successful. After all, who could be more determined than to meditate the way he did, standing on his tip of his toes, with his arms outstretched for 120 years of the demigods, not eating or sleeping, and gradually being covered over by an anthill so that the ants and moths ate his flesh, ate his organs, ate his brain. Because if anyone had a brain, why would they stand like that? So he went through such an experience in order to get a benediction from Lord Brahma, because he understood, rightly so, that Brahma had become the controller and the creator of the universe, at least secondary controller, secondary creator of the universe, because of the austerities that he had performed. Hiranyakashipu was actually a learned scholar. He knew the Vedas quite well. Even when his little brother Hiranyaksha was killed, he preached to his relatives about the eternality of the soul and that they should not lament. So he was quite learned. And he understood that if he performed this intense austerity, then Lord Brahma would come and offer him some benediction by which he hoped to become eternal. Little did he know he was already eternal. So that's the problem with material existence. We're trying to become something that we already are, but we just don't want to become who we actually are. We want to become something that we're not. So that's the problem. We want to be eternal. We want to be full of bliss and full of knowledge, but we want to do it in our own terms in the material world. And therefore, even one goes up to the highest planet of Brahmaloka and lives for 311 trillion 40 billion years, it's still, that amount of time is only a flash in cosmic existence. It's a flash of lightning. Still, we're quite determined. Otherwise, how is it that we're still in the material world without being so determined? To somehow or another find my soulmate, and as the movies have it, live happily ever after. What they don't show you is that people live ever after, but not happily. Therefore, Lord Ramachandra comes, and Lord Nrsingadev comes, but they don't come and they meet with ordinary persons. Lord Nrsingadev met because Hiranyakashipu wanted to find Lord Nrsingadev. He was looking for Vishnu because Vishnu had killed his little brother, Hiranyaksha. Of course, when Lord Varaha heard that Lord Nrsingadev, that Hiranyakashipu was looking for him, he wanted to kill him. He wanted to take revenge because of the death of his brother. Lord Nrsingadev, Lord Varaha realized that actually I'm not supposed to kill Hiranyakashipu because Lord Brahma, my devotee, had given him 100 benedictions, and he wasn't supposed to be killed by a mere boar, by any animal. He wasn't supposed to be killed in the day or the night, etc. But especially, he wasn't supposed to be killed by an animal, and Lord Varaha appeared apparently as a boar, of this transcendental boar. Therefore, Varahadev, Lord Varahadev, became so small that he entered into the nostril of Hiranyakashipu and entered into his heart because he knew that Hiranyakashipu never looked inside himself to understand anything. He was never introspective. He only saw himself externally as the controller of the universe, as a big demon. But Prahlad Maharaj, he understood that although, in fact, his father, Hiranyakashipu, externally was a big controller of the universe, a big demon, the best of the demons, the biggest demon out of everyone. But Prahlad Maharaj was compassionate to his father. He realized that his father was not very happy. After all, his father, although he was so powerful, he was controlling even the demigods in the universe, still he was always intoxicated. Therefore, when Hiranyakashipu asked Prahlad Maharaj, what is the best thing you've learned in school? Prahlad Maharaj replied, the best thing I've learned in school, my dear father, is that you're a number one fool. You're the biggest fool. Tatsadam anye suryavarya dehinam sada samudvigna diyam asakrat. Because you're always in anxiety. You think you're going to be eternal, but you know that Lord Brahma has told you that he himself is not eternal, and therefore he can't give you that benediction. So you're always in anxiety that someone may come and, in spite of your 100 benedictions, still they might be able to kill you. Just like there was one day I was walking on a place we used to go with Srila Prabhupada to White Rock Lake Park in Dallas, Texas. And there is a big lake, and on one side people would walk, and on the other side there was a big mansion, which was owned by Howard Hughes at that time. Howard Hughes was the richest man in the world. He had $14 billion, which is like $140 billion now. And although he was so wealthy, he was always afraid that someone was going to come and kill him. Although he had so many bodyguards, he took every precaution possible. No one could actually see him because he was afraid they might kill him. And even he was afraid that, in spite of all his bodyguards, that maybe a germ would sneak into his room and kill him. So in order to put food, to deliver food to Howard Hughes, they'd have to put the food through a slit in his door, which would kill all the germs. Ultraviolet rays and other things would kill all the germs because he was afraid that one germ would come in and kill him. I don't know which one came in, but something came in and killed him because he's not alive anymore. So in spite of his immense wealth, still he could not be protected from old age, disease, and death. And I'm sure somewhere in this universe, if we were looking for, we'd find Howard Hughes in some form of life. Therefore, in spite of Hiranyakashipu's great austerity, and indeed we find in the next yuga, his incarnation of Ravana appeared, who also went similar austerity, not as intense as Hiranyakashipu, because it's Treta Yuga and people were less capable of such austerity. But still he underwent great austerity along with his brothers, such as Kumbhakarna and also Vibhishan, in order to attain powers to conquer the universe, ultimately to conquer over death. But Ravana, because it was, now we're in Treta Yuga, And people in Treta Yuga, they're less qualified than they were in Satya Yuga. So he's more lusty. We don't find Hiranyakashipu, although we find him intoxicated, more or less controlling things, but he's not so lusty after women. But Ravana, because it's Treta Yuga and people became more lusty, he went all over the universe capturing women and keeping them prisoners. And of course, Ravana was quite attractive, and therefore some of these celestial ladies, many of them became attracted to him. But he was not his former self. He was powerful. The demigods apparently, even when the yugas change, even the demigods become a little weaker. So although Ravana was it was quite a bit weaker, he still could conquer the demigods. In any case, the demigods went to Lord Brahma and they complained and asked that you've given Ravana so many benedictions. Actually, it was Lord Shiva gave him the benedictions. So please protect us. So one of the things that Ravana, he asked for all these benedictions like Hiranyakashipu, but he didn't ask not to be slain by a man because he thought men are so puny, what man could actually stand up against me? So therefore, Krishna took this as an opportunity to appear as Lord Ramachandra. And as we know the story, Ravana was captivated on the words of Marichi, because I think all of us know the story of how Lord Ramachandra was banished into the forest for 14 years, and how Sita Devi and Lakshman had followed him into the forest. And when they went into the forest for 14 years, that at that time they were living in the Dandakaranya forest, which was inhabited by Rakshasas, headed by the brothers of Dushashan, who was a brother of Ravana. And his sister was there too, Surpanaka. Surpanaka, you may remember, was she previously was the sister of Bali Maharaj, but she had, when she saw, or the daughter, it depends which millennium we're in, when she saw Bali Maharaj enter into the arena of sacrifice in order to get back the kingdom of Indra from Bali Maharaj, when he walked into the sacrifice, Vamanadeva was particularly noted for his beauty. So Bali Maharaj's sister fell in love with Vamanadeva and wanted to become, I guess, a consort of Vamanadeva. But when Vamanadeva took away the three worlds from Bali Maharaj, she wanted to kill him. So that desire to kill Lord Ramachandra was in her heart, along with her attraction to him. Or her desire to kill Vamanadeva was there along with the attraction to Vamanadeva. So she appeared as Surpanaka. Now Surpanaka, when she was in the Dandakaranya forest, she came upon Sita Ram Lakshman, and she fell in love with Lord Ramachandra because he was so beautiful. He displayed even more beauty than Vamanadeva, and therefore she wanted to marry him in her Rakshasa style. Rakshasa style, you don't have to have a big wedding. You don't have to invite your relatives. You just, grab each other and you're married. Simple. Saves a lot on all the wedding expenses, especially in a forest. It's hard to get a big celebration going. In any case, she approached Lord Ramachandra and said, Of course, she didn't approach in her Rakshashi body. She disguised herself as a beautiful woman. But Lord Ramachandra was not fooled. And he said, well, I'm sorry, my dear lady. I'd love to marry you, but I'm already married, and I've taken a vow to have only one wife. But my brother, he never took such a vow. He may have had another wife, but he didn't take a vow, so you can marry him. He's right here. He's also quite beautiful. So then she approached Lakshman. My dear Lakshman, you're so beautiful. I'm so beautiful too. We make a lovely pair. I think we'll be soulmates. So Lakshman said, I'm sorry. I'm just a slave of my brother. You're such a beautiful woman. Why should you accept a slave as your husband? You should marry my brother. He was only joking with you. And of course, as we know, Surpanaka went back to Ramachandra and said, you won't marry me because of this ugly woman, Sita. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to devour her, and then you can marry me. There won't be any problem. You can still only have one wife. Of course, when she went to eat Sita, neither Lord Ramachandra nor Lakshman appreciated it very much. And Lakshman particularly cut off Surpanaka's nose and ears, and she went away screaming. And as we know, she went to Dushasana, and Trishira and others were there. 14,000 Rakshashas were eating the sages in Dandakaranya forest. So Lord Ramachandra didn't appreciate that very much. He was eating his devotees. So he arranged this fight between them. And of course, as we know, that the 14,000 Rakshasa soldiers, some of them were quite huge, 10 meters high. Not the people you want to meet in a dark alley. So he killed them all, except few of them fled, and Surpanaka went to Ravana. And she was bleeding. Her nose was cut off. The ears were cut off. And she complained to her brother that you're sitting there and that your sister has been molested by this Ramachandra, this human being in the forest, who's killed your brothers and the other 14,000 Rakshasa soldiers, and you're sitting there and you're not doing anything. And besides that, the reason why Lord Ramachandra and Lakshman attacked me is because there's this woman there, her name is Sita Devi, and she's the most beautiful woman in the whole universe. And I was trying to get her for you. But when I was doing that, they cut off my nose and ears while I was doing service for you. So therefore, I demand that you revenge yourself and get this woman, because I think you'll find her the most attractive woman you could possibly find. So Ravana became a little interested to find out who this woman was. And he decided that maybe anyone who could kill 14,000 Rakshasa soldiers might be a little bit of a challenge. So he went to get this lady, Sita Devi. So he went to Marichi and told Marichi, who had previous experience, and Lord Ramachandra and Lakshman had been taken to protect this sacrifice of the sages of Vishwamrita Muni, had taken him to protect their sacrifice that they were performing. Then when Marichi and his other friends were attacking the sacrifice, the Lord Ramachandra had killed his friends and hit him with an arrow and sent him 800,000 yojanas into the ocean. So Marichi didn't have very good experience dealing with Lord Ramachandra. And he decided, when Ravana went to Marichi and asked him to disguise himself to detour to distract Lord Ramachandra while he would try to kidnap Sita. Marichi didn't want to have anything to do with it. Instead, he said, well, actually, I had very bad experience dealing with Lord Ramachandra. I wish you well, but I don't really want to take part in this particular pastime of yours. So Ravana said, well, actually, you have a choice. Because, we're in the material world, everyone has a choice. Either you take part in my pastime by disguising yourself as a deer and distracting Lord Ramachandra, who will kill you undoubtedly. But if you don't do that, then I'll kill you. So Marichi said, yes, you've given me a choice. I appreciate that. So I'd rather be killed by Lord Ramachandra and get liberation than be killed by a big demon like you. So I guess that's my choice. So Marichi disguised himself as a deer, went to the ashram of where Sita was with Lord Ramachandra. As we know, he distracted him. And as a result of that, Ravana was able to kidnap Sita Devi, apparently. But of course, he didn't kidnap Sita Devi. As we find out later, he kidnapped Vedashira because Agni Devi had, before Ravana could touch Sita, Agni Devi had taken Sita away to his abode, and Vedashira was substituted. So, Lord Ravana, because of this kidnapping, Sita had gotten to a quarrel with Lord Ramachandra. Lord Ramachandra eventually assembled an army of monkey soldiers, but they weren't simply monkey soldiers. They were demigods taking birth as monkeys in order to fight against the demon Ravana. And also the bears came, headed by Jambavan. So a big fight was about to be there. Ravana thought that maybe I should get some help. So he went to all his relatives. He had a lot of relatives, actually. It was a big family, billions of Rakshasas. But still, he was insecure. Everyone is insecure. Even if you have $100 billion, you think maybe it's not enough. If the stock market goes down a little bit, maybe I won't have enough money to buy chapatis. So maybe I need $2 billion. So Ravana was a little insecure. So he looked up his relatives and found out he had a relative in Sutala. His name was Bali Maharaj. So he decided to go to Bali Maharaj and ask for some donation. He went to Sutala, and he snuck past Vamanadev, who was his doorkeeper in Sutala, Bali Maharaj's doorkeeper. And he went to Ravana and asked Ravana for a donation. He went to Bali Maharaj, Ravana went to Bali Maharaj, and asked Bali Maharaj for a donation. So Bali Maharaj said, actually he asked Bali Maharaj if he would join with him to fight, but Bali Maharaj declined. So then he said, I can give you a donation though for the fight. So Ravana said, all right, give me your donation. He said, it's a really big donation, so I don't know if you can carry it. So Ravana said, well, I can carry anything. I mean, I lifted up my Mount Kailas. Anything you have, I'll take back with me and spend it on the fight against Lord Ramachandra. So Bali Maharaj took Ravana to a room, an unlimited room, and he opened the door of the room, huge door. And in that room, there was a mountain of diamonds and gold. So Ravana was quite impressed. He said, thank you very much. No one has ever given me such a big donation. So Bali Maharaj said, yes, take it home with you. It's all yours. So Ravana tried to pick up the mountain, the diamond and golden mountain, and he couldn't even budge it. He said, how is this possible? I lifted up Mount Kailas, and now I can't even lift up this mountain of gold and diamonds. So then Ravana asked, where did you get this from, Bali? He said, it was donated to me. It fell out of the sky and landed here. But do you know where it came from? Ravana asked. So Bali Maharaj said, yes. He said, actually, it came from you. In your last incarnation, you were Hiranyakashipu. And you were so big, you were practically half the size of the universe. And you had a fight with an incarnation of the person you want to fight with now. His name was Lord Nrsingadev. And in that fight, you got slain. But it was such a big fight that one of your earrings fell off and landed here during the fight. And now before you, this is your earring in your previous incarnation. But now you become Ravana. And you're so tiny and puny and weak that you can't even lift up the earring that you had in your last incarnation. And you think that you're going to fight against that same supreme person in the form of Lord Ramachandra, that you have any chance. You had no chance against Lord Nrsingadev, who cut you in two, and now you're so foolish, you're going to fight against him in his incarnation of Lord Ramachandra, and you think you're going to win? Well, I'm certainly not going to bet on you. So Ravana was quite disappointed. He was given a donation, but he couldn't bring it home with him. So he left quite angry, quite disappointed and frustrated. And on the way out, Vamanadev, who's Bali Maharaj's doorkeeper, saw Ravana and kicked him 800,000 yojanas back to this earth planet. So this is the foolishness of the demons. To be a demon means you have to be foolish. Generally speaking, the demons sometimes have knowledge of the eternality of the soul, but they think the soul can actually be the supreme soul. That all of us were the supreme soul, because I'm the most supreme of the supreme souls. But they don't know about the fact that they can't conquer the material nature, nor can they conquer Krishna in the form of time. Even they escape to the Brahmajyoti, as we find that those who were killed by the incarnations of Krishna, they go to the Brahmajyoti, or by great penance and austerity for millions of years, billions of years, they may merge in Brahman, but they don't stay there. Because under the law of time, everyone will have to remain either in the material world or in a kind of material consciousness, lack of intelligence. Without Krishna, yanye arundaksha vimuktamaninas bhavada vishuddha buddhaya. Without knowing Krishna, that everyone is simply less intelligent. They may know that they're not their body, they may know that they're a spiritual being, but their intelligence is still covered, because we're not only looking to become eternal, we're looking to become eternally happy. And even with the greatest misery we have, in one sense, is our anxiety over our impending demise and our disappearance and our loss of everything that we are attached to in this material world. So everyone knows that's inevitable, but still one is hoping that somehow or another one will conquer death. And if we can't conquer death, then the scientists will conquer death. When I went to college, the psychology I studied was called experimental psychology, based upon behavioral modification. And the person who concocted this philosophy, based upon Pavlov's experiments with dogs, he'd ring a bell and produce food for the dog, and the dog would salivate. And then sometimes, after some time, he'd ring a bell without giving food, and the dog would still produce saliva. So he thought that human beings are also like dogs and animals. They're all simply following the stimuli and reacting to it, like animals do. But his idea is that if there was a God, as he proclaimed, that one day by our scientific advancement, we'll find out where the old man lives, break into his kingdom and kill him and take his place. Not exactly a very high-class devotee. But that's the dream of the scientist. That's the dream of everyone in the material existence, is somehow or another conquer over time, who's a representative of Krishna, Kali, Kalosmi Lokashe Krit Pravrido. But even one can conquer time and merge in Brahman, go beyond material time, still one will not be happy. Even one becomes the controller of the whole universe, still one will not be happy. So Ravana had unlimited wealth, he had unlimited sense gratification, he had unlimited power, but still he was not very satisfied. And therefore Krishna arranged it that he stole Sita Devi, hoping to become happy with the goddess of fortune. But actually, he was not happy at all. He was frustrated because he could not actually touch the goddess of fortune. He got Vedashira in turn, but Vedashira was a powerful yogini who had cursed Ravana to steal her and therefore invite destruction of himself and his entire kingdom. So although these pastimes are very exciting and full of entertaining stories that we can read again and again, although it may seem that some of the stories are not very happy, after all, Lord Ramachandra, he was banished to the forest before he was able to be enthroned as the king of Ayodhya. His wife went with him. She was kidnapped by Ravana and kept prisoner. And even after Lord Ramachandra had conquered the kingdom of Lanka, still she was put into a fire to test her chastity. Then after her chastity was tested, then she wound up living with Lord Ramachandra for some time before she was banished into the forest, even when she was pregnant. Apparently not a very happy story. At the end, she was taken back into the earth by her mother, the goddess of earth. Apparently, they didn't live happily ever after. Of course they do, but anyhow, according to the story, it seems quite distressing. But then Prabhupada writes in the Nectar Devotion, how can it be distressing if Hanuman, even after all the residents of Ayodhya went back to the Ayodhya in the spiritual world, Lord Ramachandra wanted that Hanuman stay back and chant his glories here for the benefit of the universe. So Hanuman has been chanting the glories of Lord Ramachandra since not only this Treta Yuga, because Lord Ramachandra is a Leela avatar. So he comes probably many, if not all the yugas, in all the days of Brahma. So Hanuman's been here chanting the glories of Lord Ramachandra. And if it was so distressing, then how could he do it perpetually? Because actually, the pastimes of Lord Ramachandra are full of bliss. And even though it appears that there's some distress, but there is no distress. It's all transcendently pleasurable. The more Sita Devi, or the more Veda Shira was feeling separation from Lord Ramachandra, the more blissful she became. And at the end, of course, Ravana, we know, was a gatekeeper in the spiritual world. So even he, just one less birth in the material world before he went back as Jai and Vijay into the spiritual world. And Lord Ramachandra enjoys these pastimes. Everyone who witnessed these pastimes, all the residents of Ayodhya, went back to the spiritual world. All the monkeys who fought on behalf of Lord Ramachandra, they were all revived and went back to the heavenly planets. So everyone was benefited, everyone was blissful, and when we read these pastimes, then we'll realize three things. Better to become a devotee of Krishna, otherwise we'll become frustrated like Ravana and his followers. And that no demon ever lasts here forever. They simply perpetually take one birth after another in the material world to have their desires frustrated. Therefore, when Prahlad Maharaj was offered benedictions by Lord Nrsimhadev, he refused any benediction. He said, no one could be more powerful than my father. But still, just a flash, everything he had was taken away by you. So why should I ask for anything material? It's just a waste of time. I just want my devotional service to become more strong and steady, that I may not be deviated from your lotus feet. So to realize that the demons are always going to lose, even if they seem to win sometime, but they're all losers. And we shouldn't join the losing team. Doesn't make any sense. And the way of doing that is to follow the principles of religion, of which the Hare Krishna mantra is the main principle of religion in this age. So chant Hare Krishna, join the winning team, and be happy. So I'll stop there. Thank you very much. Any questions? Julian Yatra Devidasi.
Харе Кришна, Гуру Махарадж. Можно я на русском задам вопрос? А Матаджи Лавангалата переведет. Ага, спасибо.
Я думаю, что Лавангалата нужно переводить.
Хорошо.
Я переведу.
Спасибо. Я хотела узнать, мне просто интересно, я понимаю, что это лила, но все же Маричи, он же мог поступить благородно, как бы, ну, я так что-то подумала, что и сказать лучше, пусть я не буду предавать там Господа Рамачандру, пусть меня лучше убьет Равана, и я не буду портить жизни Господу Раме. Но он решил, чтобы убил его Господь. Ну, почему так он поступил, мне интересно. Что вот он решил, ну, да, конечно, для него это большее благо, что его убьет Господь, но тем не менее он же мог сказать, что я не хочу портить жизнь Господу Раме. И...
Jilaniyatra Mataji is very much concerned. Why did Marichi wanted to, instead of being a gentleman and saying, okay, let me be killed by Ravana, but not give any grief or trouble to Lord Ramachandra, why he was so egoistic and chose his prophet being killed by the Lord over being a real gentleman and letting Ravana just kill him and not give any grief to Lord Ramachandra?
Because a demon. Demons ultimately they never do the right thing. He may have thought that I'll be killed by Lord Ramachandra is better than being killed by you, but he had no devotion to Lord Ramachandra. He was a demon. Although he had a little bit of intelligence, but it wasn't very much. Otherwise, he would have went and surrendered to Lord Ramachandra. But then we wouldn't have had this pastime, and then we couldn't celebrate this pastime and have a festival. So Krishna didn't give him the intelligence so we could hear the Ramayana. Savitri Devidasi.
Харе Кришна. Спасибо большое, дорогой Гурудев, за такую интересную лекцию. Мне хочется спросить, чем занималась настоящая сита, когда ее забрал Агнидев? Вот она была в медитации, или она смотрела, как развиваются эти события? Что она делала вот в обители Агнидева?
So, Guru Maharaj, you understood that Savitri Mataji thanked you for a wonderful lecture, and she's very curious to know what did the real Sita was doing while the Agni Dev has taken her away. Was she watching the Leela? Did she know what was going on? Or was she in meditation, or what was she doing while she was at Agni Dev's kingdom?
Where Agni Dev lives, most people just play with fire. At least we know she was playing with fire. Anything else, of course, she was always meditating on Lord Ramachandra. She's never separated. There's no, Lord Ramachandra is always with Sita, and Sita is always with Lord Ramachandra, wherever they are. But I don't know. I don't know of any scripture that specifically tells us what Sita Devi was doing. But it was all in relationship with Lord Ramachandra. Anything else? Paula, thank you, Grandaraj, Shriman.
Thank you.
Ramayana ki jai.
Jai. Jai.
Ramayana ki jai. Or
Jai.
Prabhupada.
Hari Hari Bol.
Hare
Ishon
Krishna.
Prahladananda Swami Maharaj ki jai.
Jai.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kumari. Thank you so much.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
I think, for the